We have to get the shield generator down.
Hello, Ray Phoenix here. Welcome to Let's Play Star Wars Battlefront Part 11. It's the final part of this Let's Play, and we're going to have the final battle, this entire epic saga of battles. Everything we've done in the game so far up to this point has all led up to this one battle, the one monumental climax in the Star Wars saga. We are going to Endor, where the shield generator is for the second Death Star. So we can use all that Tabana gas we required from the Cloud City, and we're going to be using it in space to destroy the Death Star. But first, you have to destroy their shield, which is what we're going to do. And how we're going to do that? Well, it's simple. Just kill all their people and take all their command posts. That's how you win at this battle, right? And we kind of have a slight advantage because we can blend in with the scenery, blend better. This level is very similar to Yavin 4. It's also another jungle planet or jungle moon or whatever you call it. It looks very jungle-y. Of course, the Empire has the advantage here because they own this place and they have more troops than us, but we have some advantage over them too. We have Ewoks. Those yellow things on the map and the radar, those are Ewoks. We have them protecting us. They're really powerful. They're those cute little teddy bears that can actually pack quite a powerful punch. Supposedly they made a game of them on the Atari 2600, which I still have yet to play. But for now, this is what I have. I just play this game, and I like it because it's good. It's better than most other games that come out today. Because games nowadays are very complex. They're expensive as hell, and they're complex. I never have time for that. But simpler games like these, older games tend to be simpler, and simpler often is better. That's why there was once an era in the Atari 2600 timeline around 1982, they started making games a lot more complex and a lot more like the Atari 2600 is not supposed to have complex games on it, but they started making games a lot more complex, and those didn't actually do so well. And there was a lot of games too that unnecessarily pushed the limits of the system, like the Space Shuttle Simulator, for example. I think the Space Shuttle Simulator on the Atari 2600 was a bit much. There was a lot of other stuff that came out at the time too. They also made like a 3D old school polygon game on the 2600. They made a lot of 3D games and graphics heavy games. They even made like a first person racing game like that. They really pushed the limits of that system in the later years, which makes sense. I mean, people often do push the limits and boundaries of systems in their later years, but I still think that was way too much for the system was capable of. I thought a similar thing in the Sega Genesis when they started to put 3D games on that system. I mean, sure, Virtua Racing turned out okay, but there were some games that didn't necessarily go well because it was 3D, and the Genesis is something that should have been in 2D. But then again, it was like the time. They want to keep the times because it was back in the time when 3D gaming was starting to become more of the norm. Around the mid-90s, which is when they started making 3D. But it also came more of 2D games and having 3D effects like Dynamite Headdy. Dynamite Headdy had a lot of 3D stuff in it, like a lot of perspective. Heck, it had more 3D stuff in it than the original Rayman did, and I don't have to compare that game to the original Rayman. Rayman, the original Rayman's a classic, and it came out around that same time too, on the competing Atari Jaguar, which I consider the Atari Jaguar to be mostly competitive with the SNES and Genesis, even though it didn't do very well against those systems, which is, no surprise. Atari was already, yesterday's news at that point, and they tried to keep with the times this time, but they never really did well with that. Atari kind of was just something that was made to be lost to the fans at the time, only for it to be recovered through emulation and for people to remember the good era of their good era. When they made games that were actually really good, like the Asteroids or Breakout or Centipede, even Pong from the earlier days. I actually liked Pong the next level on the PS1. I might do a Let's Play of that game eventually too. It's not going to be 100%, or I don't know if I'll actually do a Let's Play of that game, but I know I would like to make a video of that game eventually. It's a pretty fun and entertaining game. People like find that game a lot because they think it's Pong and it's primitive, but it's not. It's actually really good. They've clearly never played that game before, so I have to show it to them clearly, and I'll be doing that through, making videos on YouTube. That's how I show all the games in my collection, if you haven't figured it out by now. I make videos on YouTube of them. And so right now, they began with a lot more troops, but it looks like they're losing troops faster than us, so eventually I'm going to gain a margin against them, and then eventually I'm going to, win against them, because that's what we do. We're winners. This probably is by far the most epic battle in the Star Wars saga. This is one of the few games I know of that actually details from the very earlier battles in the saga when we're the Trade Federation going after those cartoon rabbits. And now, here we are now, we're rebels going against the Empire. and we're on this, where the saga is going to be ending. This is where the saga truly ends. This is where everything truly ends. Every great saga always comes to a climax, comes to a point, like there's an epic battle, which ultimately determines the fate of the galaxy for everyone, for billions, possibly trillions of people. I wonder what the population is of the Star Wars galaxy at this point in time. I wonder how much it's been decreased thanks to this war, and how much it's also been decreased thanks to other things like the Empire purposefully killing their people. So I wonder how that's done with the population of Star Wars has changed. I know Coruscant had like several billion people on it back in the prequel trilogy era, but I don't know how that compares to now. We didn't even see Coruscant at all during the original trilogy era. I don't even think they called it Coruscant yet. Well, some games didn't call it Coruscant. They called it like the capital city or something like that. I think Dark Forces called it Capital City. And that actually did appear, and this planet did appear in some of the X-Wing games, I think, but they called it Coruscant. They pronounced it differently. But it was just established as being the Empire's capital. But we don't actually see that planet until the first Star Wars prequel. We never see it all in the original trilogy. I sometimes wonder what the original trilogy would have been like if it was made after the prequels, or made with more of the prequel stuff in mind. It probably would have turned out very differently, and especially George Lucas had the same amount of control that he had over those movies as he did with the prequel. They would have turned out to be different movies for sure. So, in a lot of ways, I'm kind of glad that, George Lucas didn't have that level of control. He didn't have that absolute, absolute power crux. And that was the case with Star Wars prequels. They're a good example of why you should never over-dominate a project. You should always let contributions to other people. I always do it with my works, too. I always let people contribute stuff, contribute ideas, and contribute concepts, philosophies, and things like that to my work. It ultimately goes to make my work, a lot better, way better. That's why my Jason and Mason series has drastically improved a lot in the last year since it joined CI Squared Entertainment. I got so much more stuff. It grew. It exponentially grew for us 2021 thanks to this, and it's still growing now. And all my other stuff is still growing now too. So I'm glad for that. I'm glad people actually like my stuff for once. I always knew there'd be people out there that would like my stuff. And thanks to Discord, it's been confirmed that people actually think my stuff is entertaining, which is something I always wanted to know. For a long time, something I always believed, and it turned out to be true that people indeed like my stuff. That's why I like the internet so much. It's really easy to share ideas and contribute ideas and give ideas to other people. It's an important part of our society nowadays. So I guess you could say I'm just taking part in modern society, modern civilization, which is, it's a good do. It's a shame that I feel bad for people that don't like to take part in, they don't like modern technology, don't like to take part in modern society. But again, some people do that. Like some people don't know, no one likes to take part in modern society. Kind of like those Buddhist monks that live in North Korea. They live in North Korea, but we don't see them, taking part in anything North Korean, when they have, are getting involved in the government and that. No, they live on their own monasteries, far away from civilization, out in, jungly, foresty areas, kind of where the monks live. I think monks are really interesting. I think I have a very type of monks in Ivan's War, the Ultraverse monks. I find monk culture to be very, entertaining. I also got a lot of ideas for monks from Shaolin Showdown, which is one of the major inspirations for my Ivan's War series. Shaolin Showdown is an underrated cartoon. It's a really entertaining show that I don't think gets enough attention. There was on the awesome Kids WB. That's the only time the WB network was ever really good, was when it had Kids WB on. Kids WB was the best. Well, maybe not so the best, but it was really good. I really do. I remember watching some of that stuff on Kids WB. And sometimes they'd air reruns of stuff from Cartoon Network. Well, mostly it's their Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. But they did air some syndicated stuff too, but even Cartoon Network later re-aired some of their shows and reruns. I remember classic Cartoon. Cartoon Network was really good back in those days too, but nowadays Cartoon Network's a joke nowadays, which is something CI Squared constantly makes fun of, the fact that modern Cartoon Network sucks. I don't have to consider my works, especially the way I make my works, it's my written works or comic works or animation works like Jason and Mason, Odyssey, Oddities, and Ivan's War. I often make it in a way where it's it reflects on what made old Cartoon Network good, and it makes fun of too. It implicitly makes fun of what makes a new Cartoon Network bad. It's like I'm giving an implicit middle finger to modern Cartoon Network. which is something I want to do. I do want Modern Cartoon Network to fail. I just heard they lost a lot of viewers recently too, thanks to probably people not wanting to watch their shows as much anymore. So we pretty much killed off all the bad troops. So now we have to go in there and take over the shield. But oh look, they're all dead. We didn't even have to destroy the shield bunker. We already won. Victory is ours. And so this concludes this long epic saga of battling and rebellions and adventures and all that stuff. They would be showing an ending right now, but I can't show you that because of copyright reasons. But the ending is pretty much just the ending from the extended version, the 2004 extended version of Return of the Jedi. So look that up if you want to know how this game ends. This is Ray Phoenix signing out.